Good morning. In the 1968, my uncle Victor Buono went away from his Encino house, and he went into a monkey house above the Grauman's China's Theater in Hollywood. And me too, once again, my father and I left from La Jolla and we went back into El Cajon. And Victor Charles and me, we would soon be traveling in the near future. On February 17, 1968, Victor Charles was performing in a 90-minute television musical program titled The Legend of Robin Hood. The cast of players were Noel Harrison as Alan Adele, Rodney McDowell as Prince John, Steve Forrest as the Sheriff of Nottingham, Victor Buono as Sir Guy of Gisborne, and Douglas Fairbanks Jr. as Prince Richard. And 5 days later, on February 22nd, 1968, Victor Charles performed in his very last time as King Tut in the television program series of Batman titled I'll Be a Mummy's Uncle. Soon, nearing the end of the year, on August 5th, 1968, Victor Charles was performing at the Mark Taper Forum in the stage production of Cameo Real. He played in the role as Gutman, the ringmaster of the circus. This was Victor Charles's last performance in 1968. During that year, he was only in 3 productions: one Batman television program, one television musical, The Legend of Robin Hood, and only one stage production in Cameo Real. When looking back on 1960 to 1961, when he entered American family television sets, on silver screens and on theater stages, Victor Charles had performed in approximately 33 productions within those first 2 years. Between 1967 and 1969, he only performed in approximately 17 productions. By looking at those slipping numbers, he knew something had to be done to keep him in the Hollywood circle if he wanted to continue being an actor. In 1968, he was living in the monkey house, and I believe this is when he started writing his poetry book, It Could Be Verse. That would be published in 1972. When my father and I were visiting there, I was amazed by how small it was in comparison to his Encino house. I noticed all the books he had within his 3 bookshelves, looking like a library with books being from the floor to the ceiling, and he had a wooden desk where he did all his writing. It seemed to me that he was very comfortable living there by not having weighty responsibilities crushing down on his broad shoulders by having to live like a Hollywood star in Encino. There were several large windows allowing the view of Hollywood below, and there was a small porch outside, and when standing there we could see the Graham's Chinese Theater below on Hollywood Boulevard. Little did I know then, while visiting with my Uncle Victor Charles and my Grandma Mert, that one day in my future I would be working at the Hollywood Pantages Theater at 6233 Hollywood Boulevard between the years of 1977 and 1978. Leading into 1969, my father, Sonny, decided to move us away from La Jolla and back to El Cajon, where I would soon be attending at El Cajon High School once again. This sudden relocation shattered me, inside and out. And before the school year began, I went to live with my Uncle Tony in Hermosa Beach near Redondo and Manhattan Beaches, California. It was then and there when I started seriously thinking in the future and of what I wanted to do with my life. In 1969, Victor Charles only performed in 5 productions that year. The first production was a flying nun titled Sister Sacco in San Taco, and his role was Marco, and it was released on January 16, 1969, and the executive producer was Harry Ackerman. My father Sonny and my sister Renee and I went to see Victor Charles perform in Las Vegas, Nevada on January 17, 1969. He had a role in the musical production Many Happy Returns at the Desert-Inn Casino. He was performing with Broadway legends John Raitt and Pat Carroll. When we first arrived in Las Vegas in the afternoon before he performed that night, we went to see where he was lodging. He was staying in a white brick single-story apartment with 1 bedroom, and he just woke up when we knocked on his door. He said, "Everybody here sleeps through the days and they live at night, and they're all vampires." After watching his musical, we went to a restaurant inside the Desert Inn. We were sitting in a large booth, and while we were waiting for his waitress to take our orders, he pointed out a few peculiar-looking people sitting nearby, and he softly said, "Do you see the man over there wearing the cowboy hat with faded jeans and bright red shirt? And look over to the right at the heavy woman wearing an old man's suit with her short hair graced back like Elvis Presley. Those are the wealthy ones in here looking like paupers with 1 foot in the gutter and without having a single dime." I'll never forget that observation he gave us that night, seeing him smile with a gleam in his blue eyes. Victor Charles had performed in the motion picture Target Harry, and he played the role as Mosul Rashi, and it was released in May 23, 1969. The producer was Gene Corman, and the director was Roger Corman. On April 20th, 1969, Victor Charles signed a contract with 20th Century Fox to perform in the motion picture Beneath the Planet of the Apes. He also was performing in the television program It Takes a Thief in the episode of The 3 Virgins of Rome. On November 24, 1969, he was performing in the television program Get Smart, and he had a few comments to share, saying, "I enjoy my first appearance in this series very much because I like any show that allows an actor to go his way, as director Alan Rafkin did in this one. So many times in TV you just see the script and that's it. You have to play it the way it's handed to you." He then mentioned how he felt about his one-man shows across the country, saying, "You need to sharpen tools that are very much needed for film work. I don't necessarily like to call these tours reading or speaking engagements. That has too much of a second-class ring to it. These are more entertaining lecture sessions. I use a lot of good stuff, Benchley, Thurber, etc., and write it around a theme. Doing these tours is a much better way than just going around the house babbling to a cat or quartering the milkman. It isn't easy to stay in shape, theatrically speaking, Then he shared a few tips about eating food, saying, "I'm a gourmet. The difference between a gourmet and a glutton. I would very much like to be a gourmet, but I still have a taste for French fries."